Imagine you've been dreaming about a certain place for years. You buy the tickets, make the trip, stand at the viewpoint, look around and think, seriously? Is this really what I was dreaming about? Is this the legendary place everyone talks about? I've had 9 such disappointments in the US. In this video, I'll talk about the places that didn't live up to my expectations. I'm going to tell you about them so you don't waste your time, money, and vacation for nothing. This is Dimitri Karmanov, and this is a channel about independent travel. Let's start our tourist anti-top with Los Angeles. When you're on your way there, you imagine something grandiose. A metropolis, skyscrapers, lots of lights, constant hustle and bustle. But in reality, of course, that's not the case. That picture, that's New York. Los Angeles is a gigantic village. The whole city is made up of 1 or 2-story private houses. The small streets are unattractive. There's nothing to see there, it's not interesting to walk around, and it's not interesting to drive around either. So you feel, I don't know, like a kid who's had their candy taken away. You came to see something grand, but instead, damn, you see a village. Yes, there is a downtown area stuck in the middle of the village. Just a few skyscrapers, literally just a few skyscrapers in the middle of a village. It looks ridiculous. It's not interesting to walk around there. And in the evening, it even becomes dangerous because yes, people come there to work. In the evening, the center, downtown, city, whatever you want to call, it empties out and only shady characters remain. So there's nothing to do there and there's no need to look at the city lights either. In fact, throughout all of Los Angeles, the only real attraction is the big iron letters painted white that spell Hollywood. That's it. There's nothing else to see in the city. And even then, Hollywood is more like the outskirts of Los Angeles, not the city itself. The impression is terrible because there really are a lot of homeless people and a lot of filth. For example, we were in certain neighborhoods where if you were to go to a Burger King, you would find that there's thick bulletproof glass completely separating the cashier and the pickup area from the entire rest of the restaurant. Truly striking sight. Crime. Los Angeles, I don't know. The absolute worst impressions. Los Angeles is a major transportation hub. There's a huge airport there. From Los Angeles, planes fly all over America and even around the world. So you arrive at the airport, pick up a car, and after that, there's really nothing else for you to do in Los Angeles. Disappointment number 2 is the beautiful suburbs of Los Angeles: Santa Barbara, Malibu, and Pasadena. These are names that are truly music to the ear. There's a certain undeniable glamour there. That's where the high life is. That's where the wealthy people are. That's where the romance is. You can comfortably sit on the pier there, and there are cool beaches with many busty beauties. That's the impression you get after watching all those television shows about the beautiful life in the suburbs of Los Angeles. But in reality, if I had to sum it up in one word, it's unimpressive. I mean, these are just unremarkable suburbs. Suburbs that are really about nothing. You drive up to the sea, and it seems like those very beaches are right there. Baywatch. Yeah, but damn, in Malibu, the access to the sea is closed. And where there are beaches where you actually have access to the beach, you end up disappointed too because it's the ocean. The ocean is cold. There are currents, winds, and it's damp and chilly. People sunbathe on the beach, but they don't go into the water. There's really nothing to do there. It's not pleasant to swim. It's not like warm Spain or the Mediterranean or the Caribbean Sea or anything like that. And of course, there's no public transportation. You can't just get there easily. There's a single highway that runs through all these suburbs, and it's always horribly jammed with traffic. Everything around Los Angeles is honestly a mess. Well, not exactly a dump, but it's all kind of dreary and gray. Just your typical residential suburbs. My third disappointment is Philadelphia. It's a city everyone has heard of. It seems like it's New York's little brother. In other words, it's like New York, but without as many tourists and not as many people. It seems like it should be this amazing historic city because the Declaration of Independence was signed in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is home to the truly famous bell that proudly announced the birth of a new country, officially called the United States. This enduring myth, this captivating story, or rather, the profound legend of Philadelphia is very widespread throughout American culture. And you feel like when you arrive, there will be something really cool there, that it's a city you just can't miss. When you first arrive in Philadelphia, the very first thing you will undoubtedly want to do is rushed directly to those incredibly significant places: Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, all those truly cool and iconic historic buildings and sites you've heard so very much about. And that's when the first disappointment sets in. Independence Hall is actually a rather unremarkable little building, standing just 2 stories tall, I think. You look at it and think, well, yeah, I guess this is one of those places you visit just to check it off your list. Yes, I've been here. Yes, I took a photo in front of Independence Hall. Well, maybe. Maybe it's cool. But inside, you don't really feel anything at all. Maybe it's because I'm not American. Perhaps every American who comes here truly feels some kind of profound awe deep inside. Yeah, I looked at Independence Hall. Yeah, I saw the Liberty Bell. It's just an ordinary bell. Sure, it rang at some point. But it's not like the Tsar bell in Moscow, which impresses you with its size. A piece broke off of it. It's just a regular bell hanging there. So yeah, I took a second photo, checked off the second box. That's it. An hour's time. In an hour, you've seen all of historic Philadelphia. There's nothing else to see there. And when you realize that, well, that's it. There's really nowhere else to go. These are the very places Philadelphia is famous for. And then, damn, you get disappointed the second time. Because that's it. They promised me there'd be all this incredible history, but you just go, take a mere 2 photos. And that's truly all there is. And after all this so-called joy, you think, well, at least I'll check out modern Philadelphia, the city, the downtown area. And here comes your third disappointment, because the city center is just a mix of outdated office buildings, concrete and glass boxes. There's no interesting or modern architecture at all to be found, really. There's nothing impressive, no sense of grandeur like you get in New York, nothing like that here either. The downtown area is actually quite compact. You walk around it and still can't figure out why you even came here in the first place. And the fourth disappointment begins when you step just a little outside the center. Luckily, it's small, so getting out of it is very easy. Take a couple steps toward the main street, and just like that, you're no longer in the center. There are a lot of cities like that in the US, but it's disappointing with Philadelphia because there are poor people, the streets are dirty, and I don't know if the street cleaners are on strike or if the city government isn't allocating funds for it. No one cleans up the trash on the streets. The buildings are run down. There are a lot of these old, half-ruined, abandoned buildings, and you walk around looking at all this decay and you think, damn, why did I even come to Philadelphia in the first place? What was I hoping to see here? I wanted to see a lot, right? But in reality, all I see is a bunch of nonsense. And in Philadelphia, you can really feel that the crime rate is above the national average for the United States. You take a few steps and people are already watching you closely. I talk about safety in a separate video, and there, among other things, I mentioned the US and go into more detail about it. My next disappointment is Baltimore. What comes to mind when you hear the name of this city? It's an old city, one of the oldest on the East Coast of the States. It's a city of rich culture and captivating art. It's a city that often appears in various popular television series. It's a charming seaside city with deep maritime traditions. It's a city with truly great cuisine, boasting exquisite gastronomy. They have Chesapeake crabs there, and they have crab cakes. So the initial first impressions of this truly remarkable city are indeed very favorable. You feel like when you come here, it's going to be great. But in reality, of course, it's not that great. Yes, in the very center, there's this polished little district with a few impressive skyscrapers. There's also an aquarium, oceanarium, and the harbor is right around it. It's specifically called the Inner Harbor. And it's this kind of tourist bubble that you often find yourself in. It's impeccably clean, it's highly polished. And it certainly gives you the distinct impression of a pretty nice city. But the very first thing that truly comes to mind is, why is there so very little of it? The city effectively ends as soon as you step off just 1 or 2 main streets. As soon as you move a little away from this harbor, the city is gone. And a completely different city appears before you. Decay, poverty, some kind of, social stratification and significant social inequality. I'm even starting to use words straight out of Soviet propaganda. But that's be swell, really. When you arrive and see all this, those cliches come to mind. Just a moment ago, you had tourists strolling around and enjoying themselves. And on the next street over, damn, there are homeless people sitting around drinking something. Yeah, and it's this striking contrast that really hits you. The bustling city outside of this tourist bubble gives off an impression of utter chaos. It truly feels like the buildings there were thrown up haphazardly. Highways run through the entire city, right through the center, elevated on massive concrete pillars. These were supposed to solve the traffic jam problem. But they didn't solve anything at all, because the city is still jammed with traffic, probably one of the most congested cities in the States. You can lose hours just standing there endlessly waiting for your lane to finally start moving. And yes, you get this feeling that you've been shortchanged. Like, let's take this Inner Harbor and expand it even just to a few more neighborhoods. So there's actually somewhere to walk around. You stroll for half an hour in one area. And that's it. That's all the beautiful parts of this city. Come on, give me a little more Baltimore. But the food scene there is actually pretty good. The fresh, succulent crabs are incredibly delicious, and their famous crab cakes, they're significantly tastier there than they are in California. I really didn't like them in California at all. But Baltimore crab cakes, that's something I definitely recommend. But is it really worth going to Baltimore just for the crab cakes? Actually, I studied in the US, traveled a lot around the country, have been there several times, and now I put together travel itineraries for different countries, including the United States. If you want an awesome itinerary that lets you see all the most beautiful places, just reach out to me. I'll help you and create such an itinerary for you. And you won't see any of the things I'm talking about in this video. My next disappointment is the Hoover Dam, a truly immense structure. It's a truly gigantic mega project, an industrial wonder of the modern world that's widely advertised everywhere. And it seems like it's supposed to be something enormous and spectacular. During the Great Depression, it was built, among other reasons, to provide people with jobs. And at that time, President Hoover really promoted it heavily. You expect cool, interesting tours. You expect, the aesthetics of the 1930s, and you arrive at this place with pretty high expectations. But in reality, it's just a big disappointment. The gigantic project turns out not to be all that gigantic. Yes, it's tall, but it's actually quite compact. It's situated kind of in a canyon. You get out of the car, you start walking, you start looking, you think, well, okay, impress me. But they don't impress you at all, because there is concrete all around, dull, gray, uninteresting. The views are, well, so-so. Reservoir? Yes, a reservoir. It's still hot, the sun is beating down on everything. You think, okay, I'll go on a tour. Maybe at least there it'll be interesting. They'll take us inside and show us around. Yes, the tour is expensive, $30 to $40 as far as I remember. It lasts less than an hour. You look at these mechanisms, damn, and you're not interested at all. There's nothing to look at. It's incredibly boring. You spent money, wasted time, made a detour to the Hoover Dam, and in the end you leave thinking, why did I even come here? Another thing that disappointed me in the US was the Native American reservations. Maybe my personal expectations just didn't match what I saw with the harsh reality. What did I imagine? This is truly the original America. These are the real ancient Americans who meticulously preserve their timeless traditions, who have powerful shamans, some kind of intricate art, beautiful crafts, and really cool, unique souvenirs you can purchase, along with some kind of profound magic. You arrive at these reservations and see dreary, dirty, poor, modern villages where unhappy modern people live, but with slightly different facial features. They are typically dressed in dirty, worn jeans and simple shirts, often appearing quite disheveled. Every now and then, someone tugs at your sleeve and offers to sell you some souvenir. And you even want to buy these souvenirs. You want to, perhaps give these poor people a few extra dollars just because, damn, they truly look so incredibly pitiful. But then you look at these small, insignificant trinkets they're offering you, and you quickly realize that, well, these cheap souvenirs will just travel with you to the nearest available trash can and stay there permanently. Obviously, there's no real magic, no actual shamans at all. In a few specific places, there are tourist attractions where people dressed up as stereotypical Indians in specially made, elaborate costumes put on some kind of theatrical show for you. But you can see how fake it all is, how much these people are burdened by having to play these roles just to entertain tourists. You leave that place thinking, damn, it would have been better if I'd never experienced this. And I ended up feeling more disappointed in my own, I don't know, childhood or teenage ideas about Native Americans. I guess I went a bit overboard with the negativity. To make both you and me feel better, after this video, check out another one of mine where I talk about the 15 coolest national parks and natural places in the United States. That's where I really gathered all the best stuff. Be sure to watch it. I'll leave the link in the description. But now I'm going to tell you about the national parks that, well, didn't impress me at all. Many people might disagree with me, but in my list of disappointments, I included Yosemite National Park. It's a well-known name. It's one of the most hyped national parks in the US. Millions of people go there, and it seems like you'll be absolutely enchanted by these truly amazing, majestic views. It seems like there are plenty of serene places there where you can be completely alone with nature, finding peace and tranquility. It truly feels like you'll see those absolutely perfect, postcard-worthy sights that will leave a lasting impression. In San Francisco, one of the localsa little old men we met on the street was asking us where we'd already been and where we hadn't been yet in California. And he said, "Oh, you're going to Yosemite? That's the coolest place in the whole state." If you haven't been to Yosemite, you might as well say you haven't seen California. So we went there. I wish I hadn't seen it. What is there really to see in Yosemite? Yes, that very view that's everywhere you really will see. Just type Yosemite into any search engine and you'll get that exact iconic image-towering mountains and the beautiful little waterfall. But basically throughout the entire park, there's really only this one particular view that's truly impressive. Everything else is just a complete disappointment. First of all, there's absolutely no solitude, of course. It's the most crowded national park I've ever been to. There are just crowds of people everywhere. There's a single road that goes through it, and there are constant traffic jams on that road. Just imagine, you came here to connect with nature, to see something wild, and you end up stuck in a traffic jam in a national park. You drive up to the parking lot, and there's a huge line. You can end up waiting in that line for hours, just to get a parking spot. Seriously. And that immediately ruins the whole experience. And as you try to find something interesting, you wander around the park, try to explore different spots, and nothing impresses you. It's just an ordinary forest with not very beautiful mountains. Maybe my perception is a bit skewed because, I don't know, I grew up in Siberia. I was born and raised there, spent my childhood there. So forests don't surprise me and mountains don't surprise me. I see the same landscapes I've been used to since childhood, the ones I've always seen. But damn, I came to the United States, I want to be amazed, I want to be astonished. Show me something I haven't seen before. Show me something that would really stick in my memory. But here, well, there's really just one view. The view is actually beautiful. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Like, if you, I don't know, just stepped outside, there's no one truly around. And you're completely one-on-one with this breathtaking view that really amazes you, then of course the overall impression would be totally different. But as it is, well, it's just a typical tourist attraction. My next disappointment is Capitol Reef National Park. When you read about Capitol Reef, it seems like something really cool. A truly gigantic geological formation, a significant rift in the Earth's crust, stretching for a remarkable 160 kilometers. Literally a massive fold in the Earth's crust that impressively rises above the American tectonic plate. But this is the kind of national park that we drove through 3 separate times and still couldn't quite figure out where it actually begins or ends. Because there's really nothing to look at there. I mean, maybe if you see it from space or at least from an airplane, it might make some kind of impression. But on the ground, you just see ordinary cliffs which are everywhere in the area. So you drive through it, trying to find at least one wow view. But there's nothing wow about it. Not even a single view that you'd want to take a picture. For me, honestly, the real indicator is how often I reach for my camera or at least my phone to take a picture of what I see. And the last disappointment I included on this list is a Utah state park called Coral Pink Sand Dunes. Coral Pink Sand Dunes. Just listen to how that sounds. Coral Pink Sand. your imagination immediately starts working, right? You can vividly picture this expansive sea of delicate coral pink sand, which, as the sun gracefully sets, beautifully takes on a mesmerizing array of different breathtaking shades and hues. You grab your camera and think, well, here I'm really going to take some amazing shots. I'm going to capture something special. But when you arrive, the first thing that strikes you is the size. There's no sea of sand there at all. It's actually quite a modest and unassuming area, nestled snugly between rolling hills, with just a few genuine prominent sand dunes. Okay, fine. We park the car. We make our way to these dunes, start walking around, and I'm trying to find where that much advertised coral pink color of the sand mentioned in the very name actually is. And you keep trying to see it from one angle, from another angle. I don't know. Maybe pick it up in my hand, maybe then I'll see. Damn it! Where is this coral pinkness of the sand? But no! It's just ordinary yellow sand. There's nothing particularly remarkable about it. Perhaps somewhere at sunset, under very special lighting conditions, you might finally see that specific shade that they used in the name. But no matter how much I walked, how I looked, how I tried, and I really wanted to get a beautiful shot, there's just no coral pinkness there at all. On top of that, walking there is rather unpleasant. These are dunes, the sand is fine, there's a lot of dust around, it gets everywhere on your face, in your eyes. I had to clean my camera several times from this fine dust. Overall, the impression is not just disappointing, but actually negative. Because you feel deceived. You've been tricked. You came expecting to see one thing, but in reality it's not there. That's probably why I want to end my anti-rating of disappointing places in the US with this spot. Don't repeat my mistakes. And if you want a truly interesting trip, you can reach out to us. We have ready-made, well-designed routes that you can just take and follow. We can also design a route specifically tailored to your requests, for you based on what you want. Or we can organize a complete turnkey tour, so you don't have to worry about anything. You'll just arrive and enjoy a great, well-planned trip, making sure you don't experience any disappointments like these.